Nokia did go through a very tough time with the onslaught of the touch phones by Apple and then Android. And we ended up in a situation where it was best for us to sell our handset business to Microsoft.
In 2008, Nokia was unstoppable, raking in a staggering $76 billion in revenue and reigning supreme in the mobile phone market. But within just a few years, the unthinkable happened. They lost it all. Market shares vanished, executives jumped ship, and bankruptcy loomed on the horizon. Yet, amidst the chaos, one man refused to let Nokia fade into obscurity. This is the dramatic tale of how one decision nearly crushed an empire, and how another ignited its rebirth in the modern smartphone era. Nokia was the undisputed king of the mobile industry, towering over competitors as they grew from $7.5 billion in revenue in 1996 to a staggering $76 billion by 2008. They were unstoppable, or so it seemed. Beneath the surface of their dominance, however, the seeds of their downfall were quietly being sown. In 2007, an event took place that would forever alter the course of the mobile phone industry. It was a single press conference, unassuming at first glance, that would ultimately seal Nokia's fate. The world watched as Steve Jobs took the stage to unveil the iPhone.
This is a day I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years.
The iPhone was unlike anything anyone had seen before. It was sleek, modern, and boasted a fast, intuitive user interface. Most importantly, it introduced the revolutionary touchscreen. Compared to Nokia's sturdy, traditional brick phones, the iPhone felt like a glimpse into the future. But at the time, smartphones were still a fledgling market, and Nokia seemed perfectly poised to adapt and dominate once again. Or so everyone thought. Instead of rising to the challenge, Nokia dismissed it. Internal reports later revealed that Nokia's leadership wasn't worried about Apple's new device. In fact, they mocked it. Their engineers criticized the iPhone as expensive to manufacture and derided its inability to pass Nokia's famed drop test. To them, the iPhone was little more than a niche product. But Nokia wasn't facing reality. They were seeing what they wanted to see. Their trusted reputation for durability, once a hallmark of their brand, was now becoming a liability. Consumers weren't clamoring for bulky phones anymore. They wanted sleek touchscreen devices that fit effortlessly into their lives. The shift in consumer preferences didn't just favor Apple. It spurred a wave of innovation across the industry. By 2008, competitors like HTC and Google introduced the T-Mobile G1, powered by the first version of Android. The smartphone revolution was officially underway, and Nokia had been caught flat-footed. Realizing they had underestimated Apple, Nokia scrambled to respond. Their answer? The N97. On paper, it sounded like a game-changer. With a 5-megapixel camera, a slide-out keyboard, twice the storage capacity of the iPhone, built-in GPS, and most crucially, a touchscreen, Nokia boldly declared it the iPhone killer. In reality, it was anything but a killer. The N97 was clunky, plagued by an unresponsive touchscreen, and hampered by its operating system, Symbian. Symbian, once a selling point for Nokia's earlier devices, had become a major liability. It was notoriously difficult for developers to work with, and this hurt Nokia in the age of app-driven smartphones. At launch, the N97's online store offered just over 500 applications. By comparison, Apple's App Store boasted more than 100,000. The N97's failure was a wake-up call. Nokia's leadership finally understood they couldn't rely on past successes to navigate a rapidly changing industry. Change was no longer optional. It was survival. That change would come in the form of a new CEO, and with him, the seeds of a dramatic transformation. In September 2010, Nokia, desperate to reclaim its former glory, introduced Stephen Elop as its new CEO. Elop was not just another executive, he was known as a change agent. As the former head of Microsoft's business division, he spearheaded the development of Microsoft Office and cloud technology, earning record profits for the company. Nokia was banking on his transformative leadership to turn things around. However, change often comes at a cost. Elop's first day at Nokia was unlike any other. He summoned the entire company for a mandatory meeting, a historic event that would be remembered for its dramatic undertones. According to the book Operation Elop, the atmosphere was tense. The cafeteria was closed the whole day, and a stage was built especially for the event on the west side of the lobby. Security guarded the doors and everyone was repeatedly reminded to turn off their cameras. No recording of the event was allowed. Elop took the stage and delivered what has become known as the burning platform speech. "I have learned that we are standing on a burning platform. There is intense heat coming from our competitors more rapidly than we ever expected. Apple disrupted the market by redefining the smartphone and attracting developers to a closed but very powerful ecosystem. The battle of devices has now become a war of ecosystems. This includes not only the hardware and software of the device, but developers, applications, e-commerce, advertising, search, and much more." Elop's words were meant to rally the company, but instead they painted a bleak picture of Nokia's future. While the speech highlighted Nokia's challenges, it also severely damaged the company's reputation. The leaked speech became a public relations disaster. Nokia's sales dropped, shareholders lost confidence, and the company's value took a significant hit. Elop wasn't fazed by the backlash. In fact, he thrived on the urgency the crisis created. He believed this burning platform narrative would allow him to push through drastic changes quickly. One of the most critical decisions Nokia faced was the replacement of its aging Symbian operating system. The company had two primary options: join the Android ecosystem, which was already gaining traction, and would provide Nokia with a solid platform to compete with Apple. Take a risk on Microsoft's Windows Phone operating system, which had little market share and was largely unproven. Elop's deep ties to Microsoft made the decision for him. Nokia entered into a strategic partnership with Microsoft.
For Microsoft, it's also a signature event in our transformation. We think this is win-win for employees, win-win for shareholders, and win-win for customers of both companies.
With Nokia committing to exclusively use the Windows Phone operating system. In return, Microsoft promised billions of dollars in funding for development and marketing. Elop believed this would create a third ecosystem in the smartphone market. In February 2011, Nokia announced its new strategy to the world.
Clearly, Nokia is facing challenging and very dynamic times right now. We have fierce competition from many different directions, whether it's different ecosystems at the high end and the mid-range, at the low end, all of those types of things. The entire smartphone market is growing rapidly, and we should be setting the pace. So today, I'm excited to announce that Nokia and Microsoft intend to enter into a strategic alliance.
Symbian would be phased out in favor of Windows Phone. This was a gamble that could either revive the company or destroy it. Nokia's new flagship phones, the Lumia 800 and Lumia 710, were unveiled with great fanfare.
So today, on behalf of the entire Nokia team, with the support of our partners and suppliers, ready with the camera, around the world, I am so excited and proud to introduce you to the Nokia Lumia 800.
Unfortunately, the partnership with Microsoft quickly unraveled. The Windows Phone operating system was unique, in fact, too unique. Users found it unintuitive and unnatural, a poor fit for the mobile market. Windows Phone also imposed severe limitations on Nokia's hardware. Single-core processors were mandatory, while competitors were already using dual and quad-core processors. The phones had small storage capacities and lacked basic features like front-facing cameras. The biggest issue was the lack of apps. Developers were uninterested in the Windows ecosystem, and by the time Nokia launched its new phones, most consumers were already loyal to Android or iOS. Despite the growing evidence that Windows Phone was a misstep, Elop remained committed to it. Many began to question his loyalty to Nokia. Was he truly working to save the company, or was he still serving Microsoft's interests? In 2014, Elop returned to Microsoft, taking Nokia's devices and services division with him. Microsoft acquired the division for $7.2 billion, leaving Nokia gutted. The once dominant mobile giant was left with a €4.9 billion cumulative loss, no leadership, and no clear path forward. Meanwhile, Microsoft wrote off its losses and shifted focus to its successful cloud business. Nokia, however, was a shadow of its former self. Stephen Elop's tenure at Nokia remains one of the most controversial chapters in business history. His decisions transformed Nokia, but not in the way anyone had hoped. By the time he left, Nokia's market share had plummeted from 33% to less than 3%. The company that had once defined the mobile industry was brought to its knees. Yet, against all odds, Nokia wasn't entirely out of the game. The next chapter of its story would be one of resilience and rebirth. While Nokia's mobile division was spiraling under Stephen Elop's leadership, another division quietly flourished. The Nokia Solutions and Networks (NSN) department, once an unprofitable segment of the company, experienced a remarkable turnaround. In 2009, Rajiv Suri was appointed head of NSN, and by 2014 he had transformed it into a highly profitable and stable business, a lifeline keeping the rest of Nokia afloat. Suri, a Nokia veteran since 1990, had witnessed the company's ups and downs. His steady hand and deep understanding of the organization made him the perfect leader for a company in crisis.
Back when we were trying to revive Nokia through the revival of Nokia's infrastructure business, our profit was zero, our revenues were declining 21%, but we had a team that was brought together and really lived that shared goal of success, to revive the company and to bring it back to its days of glory. And we took that annual profit that we had at the time in 2009 of zero to well more than 2 billion some years later.
In 2014, as Nokia struggled to recover from the fallout of its failed smartphone strategy, Suri was appointed CEO. Suri wasted no time laying out his vision. Nokia needed a radical restructuring. Costs had to be slashed, operations streamlined, and the company's focus realigned. But what direction would Nokia take? The answer lay in the division Suri had successfully managed: networks. With our three strong businesses, Networks, HERE, and Technologies, and our position as one of the world's largest software companies, we are well placed to lead in a world where everything is connected, Suri declared. His approach wasn't flashy, but it was methodical and focused on one goal: stability. Nokia's credibility was at an all-time low. The company needed to win back shareholder trust to lay the groundwork for its next steps. Using the funds from the Microsoft deal, Suri initiated a massive share buyback program. Shareholders were rewarded with dividends, the number of outstanding shares decreased, and the value of existing shares rose. This financial reset was only the beginning. Suri's long-term strategy required Nokia to pivot toward new opportunities. In 2015, the company made a bold move, acquiring Alcatel-Lucent for $16.6 billion.
We will have a strong presence in every part of the world. Together, we expect to have the scale to lead in every area in which we choose to compete.
This deal wasn't just about expanding Nokia's portfolio, it was about gaining access to Bell Labs, Alcatel-Lucent's legendary R&D arm, which boasted over 29,000 patents. Suri had his sights set on a groundbreaking technology. 5G. Nokia invested heavily in building a 5G network before it became commercially viable. The company was determined not to repeat its mistakes in the smartphone market, where it had lagged behind competitors. In 2018, Nokia unveiled a major breakthrough: ReefShark, a line of cutting-edge computer chips designed specifically for 5G networks. These chips were a game-changer, offering 3 times the bandwidth of their predecessors and reducing power consumption by up to 64%. Smaller, faster, and more efficient, ReefShark positioned Nokia as a serious contender in the 5G race. Around the same time, Nokia secured a landmark partnership with NTT-DOCOMO, Japan's largest telecommunications company. This collaboration marked the beginning of a series of high-profile deals that would solidify Nokia's position in the 5G market. Suri's strategy was clear: shift Nokia's focus from consumer products to business-to-business solutions. By concentrating on providing advanced infrastructure to telecom giants, Nokia could carve out a sustainable niche in a highly competitive industry. By 2020, Nokia had signed over 100 commercial 5G agreements with major players like AT&T and Vodafone. As of late 2024, that number has grown to over 300, giving Nokia a 29% share of the global 5G market outside of China. The company's investment in 5G paid off handsomely. Before the demerger with Microsoft, Nokia's revenue had plummeted to under $6 billion. By 2022, the company's restructuring efforts had boosted annual revenue by more than $20 billion. Although Nokia's market capitalization remains a fraction of its peak, hovering around $25 billion, the company has achieved something far more valuable: stability. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, Nokia is no longer fighting for survival. It is thriving. The contrasting fates of Nokia's leaders tell a compelling story. Stephen Elop's high-risk strategies led to both Nokia's downfall in mobile and his own career decline. By 2015, Microsoft had shuttered its devices group and Elop was out of a job. Rajiv Suri, on the other hand, saved the company he had dedicated decades to. His steady leadership, long-term vision, and commitment to financial discipline enabled Nokia to rebuild itself from the ground up. Two leaders, two vastly different approaches. One left a legacy of instability, while the other restored a company's faith in its future. If you found this video enlightening, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. We will also like to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching.